One more time, I advocate going heavy on running backs and receivers early in your draft this year, waiting on a quarterback.
My friends just invited me to a fantasy football league, but I don't know the first thing about this stuff. Snake draft, flex, PPR, waivers. Help!
Hey there, I think I can help.
Whoa. Who's there?
You want to learn how to play fantasy football, right? These terms can sound confusing at first, but with a little help, you'll be on your way to a successful season in no time. But first, let's look at a few mistakes you'll want to avoid.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So last year, I drafted the perfect team. I just forgot to make my lineup changes every week.
Well, at least you got to pick your team, because I missed my draft, and my whole team got auto-picked, and I got a kicker in the 5th round.
I was lucky enough to get the first pick in the draft, but when I drafted Joe Burrow first overall, all of my league mates laughed at me.
You'll notice that a lot of those mistakes happened in or around the draft. Drafting your fantasy team is the first and arguably most crucial step in determining whether you'll be competing for the league title or struggling to not finish last.
So what's a snake draft?
A snake draft is considered the traditional drafting format. Every fantasy manager has one pick each round, and the draft order is reversed at the beginning of each subsequent round. In other words, round 1 will go in ascending order from player 1 to player 10. At the beginning of round 2, the draft order reverses, meaning that player 10 gets consecutive picks, and the drafting continues in descending order back to player 1. In a snake draft, the first and last picks of each round, or bookends, will get consecutive picks as the snake slithers down the board.
I'm no herpetologist, but that makes sense. What's a flex, though?
A flex is a utility position in a fantasy roster. This position can be filled by a running back, wide receiver, or tight end.
Ah, so it's called a flex because it's flexible.
Now you're getting it. Let's talk about what PPR means next.
Is that like an acronym for something?
Precisely. PPR stands for point per reception. It's one of the most popular scoring formats for fantasy football leagues. This means for every reception, that player will receive a full point for the catch.
I guess the last question I have for now are, what are waivers used for? I'm not going to need to sign any forms, am I?
Of course not. Waivers are the most common way that you can make roster changes throughout the season. When a player is waived or released by a fantasy manager, that player goes on the waiver wire. Any fantasy manager who decides they want that player for their team can then make a claim for them. Claims are processed based on priority in the favor of the team with the worst win-loss record.
Wow, I feel a lot more confident about this whole fantasy football thing.
Hey, I'm glad to hear it. Well, see you later.
Wait, don't go. I still have so much more to learn from you. Where can I find you if I have any more questions?
Check out Fantasy Football Brothers on YouTube, where we'll be covering many more topics in depth, as well as the Fantasy Football Brothers podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Awesome. Thank you so much.